All right, get ready because today we're going to be looking at something pretty interesting. Manifesting security.
Ah,
I know. It sounds a little woo-woo maybe for some of you out there.
right.
But we're going to be talking about how those principles can be applied to security, both personal and national.
Exactly. It might seem a little unconventional at first,
Yeah.
but I think if you stick with us, we're going to unpack some really interesting ideas from this source you sent over. It's called Manifesting Security, Intention and Safety in the USA.
Yeah.
And you sent this in, so I'm assuming you're already familiar with manifesting.
Yep.
But for listeners out there who may not be, how would you kind of define that?
Well, it's basically the idea that what we focus our energy on, we attract.
Right. And think about it this way. If you're constantly kind of dwelling on anxieties about cyber threats or your personal safety, you're essentially tuning your mind to those frequencies
Yeah.
and almost making yourself more sensitive to them.
Yeah. So what do we do?
Yeah.
Do we just try to brush those anxieties under the rug?
Well, that's what's so interesting about this source. Instead of just kind of ignoring those anxieties, it's saying, hey, what if we flip the script?
Okay.
What if instead of fixating on what we fear, we try to actively focus on manifesting a safer future?
I like that. But how do we bridge that gap? How do we go from thought to reality?
That's where the intention part comes in. So, it's not just wishful thinking.
Right.
It's about consciously aligning your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions with your desired outcome.
Okay. That makes sense. But let's get down to, how does this actually play out?
Yeah.
How does this work in our everyday lives?
Yeah.
Especially in a country like the USA. I mean, security concerns they're a pretty hot topic.
Yeah, absolutely. And the source acknowledges that. It highlights the very real anxieties that we're all facing. I mean, from cyber attacks to concerns about personal safety in our communities. And it argues that this constant focus on these threats can actually contribute to a collective sense of fear,
Okay.
which ironically might be attracting more of what we don't want.
Wait, hold on. So you're saying that by dwelling on these fears, by focusing on them, we're actually making ourselves less safe.
It's not about blaming anyone. It's more about understanding the power of our collective mindset.
Okay.
And this idea is backed by neuroscience.
Yeah.
Studies have shown that visualization can literally rewire our brains,
Interesting.
making it easier to achieve desired outcomes.
So we can use that to, achieve fitness goals or career aspirations. Why not apply to security too?
Exactly.
But I can already hear people out there saying, well, come on, isn't that just positive thinking? Like, how does that actually stop a cyber attack? Or how does that prevent, a crime from happening?
That's a great point. It's not about replacing practical security measures
Yeah.
with just positive thinking.
Yeah.
It's about layering intention and action.
Okay.
And what the source material suggests is that by visualizing ourselves and even our nation as safe and secure, we create a mental blueprint,
I see.
which then influences our actions.
So it's like setting the GPS in our minds to safe and secure,
Right.
and then actually taking those practical steps to get there.
Exactly.
So where do we start?
Well, the source starts with personal safety, which is something we can all relate to. It talks about visualizing ourselves in situations that might normally trigger some anxiety,
Okay.
like walking alone at night,
Sure.
and consciously replacing that fear with a feeling of confidence and security.
So instead of picturing, the worst case scenario, I'm picturing myself walking with purpose.
Exactly. Aware of your surroundings, but not consumed by fear.
You know what? I've actually tried this before.
Really?
And it's surprising. It really is effective. Just picturing myself, being calm and in control, it actually made me feel less anxious.
Wow.
Like I had already mentally rehearsed a positive outcome.
That's amazing. That's exactly the kind of mental shift that the source is talking about.
Yeah.
But it goes beyond just visualization.
Right.
It emphasizes pairing those mental images with concrete actions.
Okay.
Things like learning self-defense or securing your home, being aware of your surroundings.
Yeah.
These actions are crucial for manifesting personal security.
So it's like building a fortress,
Yeah,
not just around your physical space, but also around your mindset.
absolutely.
Speaking of fortresses, you won't believe what happened to me last week.
What's that?
I was walking to my car late at night in a parking garage.
Oh, yeah.
The kind of place that makes you instinctively clutch your keys a little tighter.
Right.
And I started to feel a little uneasy. But then I remembered this whole idea of visualization
Yeah.
and awareness. So I took a deep breath. I visualized myself just walking confidently to my car. And I really made a point of looking around, scanning my surroundings.
Yeah. Wow.
And you know what? It really did shift my energy. I didn't feel like a victim. I felt empowered.
That's a perfect example of how combining visualization with action can create that sense of security.
Right.
It's not about pretending there's no danger. It's about equipping yourself to face it with confidence.
Okay, so we've talked about personal security,
Right.
but I'm really curious about how this scales up. I
Yeah.
mean, can you really apply manifesting to national security?
Now, this is where it gets really interesting. Can a whole nation manifest security? I mean, that's a pretty big idea.
I'm with you. It's one thing to visualize myself walking safely to my car at night,
Right.
but visualizing a whole country feeling safe, I don't even know where to begin with that.
Well, the source talks about this concept of collective intention. It's basically the idea that the combined energy and focus of a group of people can have a real impact. And it suggests that when enough people within a nation align their intentions towards safety and security, it can create a ripple effect.
Okay.
It can actually influence the energy and the direction of the whole country.
So it's like we're creating this massive nationwide vision board.
Exactly.
Okay.
Think about historical movements. I mean, things like the Civil Rights Movement
Mm.
or the push for women's suffrage. I mean, those movements were powered by collective intention,
Yeah.
by this shared belief that change was possible.
Right.
And that belief paired with action led to real shifts in society.
Okay, so I'm starting to see how this could apply to national security. But let's get practical here. What does manifesting national security actually look like in action?
Right.
I mean, is it just everyone sitting around meditating on peace?
No, not quite. The source outlines 3 key points.
Okay.
The first one is focusing on solutions. Instead of just dwelling on the threats,
Okay.
it's about shifting our national dialogue, moving away from fear and reactivity and moving towards proactive problem solving.
So instead of just talking about all the things that we're afraid of,
Right.
we start focusing on how to actually make things better.
Exactly.
So instead of fixating on, I don't know, like the potential for cyber attacks,
Right.
we start focusing on bolstering our cybersecurity infrastructure
Right.
and developing, new technology to stay ahead of the curve.
Exactly. And it also mentions things like investing in community policing initiatives to build trust between law enforcement and citizens and fostering international cooperation to address these global security challenges.
Yeah.
It's about acknowledging the threats,
Sure.
but not letting them paralyze us.
It's like that saying, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
Right.
But instead of just saying it, we're actually choosing to focus on building a safer world.
Exactly.
I like that. What's the second point?
The second point the source makes is about cultivating unity.
Yeah.
It argues that division weakens us as a nation,
Right.
and it makes us more vulnerable.
Yeah, it's kind of like that old saying, a house divided against itself cannot stand.
Exactly.
If we're constantly fighting each other, it's hard to present a united front.
Absolutely. It's about recognizing that we're all in this together.
Yeah, right.
And the source suggests that by focusing on shared values, common goals, and really fostering a sense of national unity, we can become more resilient and create a more secure nation.
It's like building a strong immune system
Huh?
for the country.
Yeah, I love that.
A healthy body can fight off infections, right?
Right.
And a unified nation can better withstand challenges.
Right.
So we've got focusing on solutions. We've
Right.
got cultivating unity. What's the third point?
The third point the source emphasizes is the empowerment of individuals.
Okay.
It argues that a secure nation starts with secure individuals.
So it's about creating an environment where people feel safe in their own lives.
Yes.
And then that ripples outward
Right.
and contributes to the security of the whole nation.
Exactly. When individuals feel safe and supported and empowered, they're more likely to contribute positively to society.
Yeah.
They're more likely to be engaged citizens, to look out for their neighbors
Right.
and to work towards creating a better future.
It's like a positive feedback loop.
Exactly.
Individual security feeds into national security,
Yes.
which then reinforces individual security.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that we all have a role to play in creating a safer and more secure future for ourselves and for the nation.
Okay, I got to admit, I'm starting to see the potential here.